Hi, this is Erica DELSIGNORE. I am the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, and this is my video interview series called Great Minds, Great Marketing. And I feel blessed. I don't say that very often, but today I feel blessed to have such an incredible person here for the interview. Dustin Mathews is a young guy. He has accomplished a lot. He's older than he looks, but he's accomplished a lot. He is a 7-time best-selling author. He has been responsible for, I don't know, hundreds of multi-million-dollar product launches and events, and he's done this all at a very young age. It's incredible to me, and I think the story is, actually, I'm going to let you tell the story about where you were when you started this business, because that story, I've heard it several times between you and David Van Hoos, your co-founder. It's just amazing what two minds can do when they're just kind of hanging out on a porch one day, come up with an idea, get a couple credit cards. I mean, that's awesome. So we're going to get started with Dustin. He's going to share wonderful information. Oh, wait, I should mention one last thing. I have personally used Dustin's company for what they're famous for, and that is for making you an incredible salesperson from the stage. And that is so different than being just a regular old salesperson sitting in a meeting. Getting on stage and knowing all of the little nuances and the hypnosis and all of the stuff that you need to know to get the audience to do what you want and to get up and run to the back. I really didn't believe that it could happen when I was going through it. Honestly, I was like, this is so made up. And now I've sold from the stage a few times, and I'm like, I cannot believe these people are doing whatever I tell them to do, and now they're running to the back. So it's incredible. I'm actually blushing a little. So yeah, I'm very excited about what they can do. And I've done their Power Day, and they've done my presentations for me, and I absolutely recommend them. And so today we're going to learn more about how that all came about, what are some of the secrets, and I want to start off, Dustin, just by letting us get to know you a little bit. I've told them a little bit about your business, but you have a really full home life as well. As as we heard a little bit before we started, what do you do for fun, and what's it like for you when you're not in the office?
Well, if I'm not in the office and I'm not with little Dexter, and I've got one on the way, which we haven't not yet named yet, you'd find me on the tennis court. So I'm.
Really?
It's a crazy time in life. We're actually in the middle of a move. You may hear a thing or two, and I'm actually working remotely today because at the office as well, we're also in the middle of a move and a rehab. We actually bought a building where we're going to do all of our trainings and all of our events. So really exciting and fascinating times in business and in personal. A lot of stuff going on, and really fortunate and excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you for being here today. So you're going to have your event coming up at the new place?
Actually, we've got an event coming up. It's called Amplify. We're actually doing that one in California because, a great business strategy is you should go to where your customers are. And yes, you should attract your customers and make them come to you, but sometimes, it's smart to go to your customers. And so we have a big base in California. And so once a year we do an event out in California. But when we don't do the events in California, then we do it right here in Clearwater, Florida. And so we plan to do events and workshops there.
Yeah, I'm so fortunate to have been able to go to several of your events right down there in Florida, and it's always a great time. Okay, so that's fantastic. I want you to tell them about how you started this multi-million-dollar company on a shoestring.
Sure. Well, you said something that most people say when they see me is the baby face. Now, early in life, I learned early on, or I thought on that having the baby face was such the biggest attractor. And if you can imagine me with 10 years younger, looking at least 10 years younger, I would look like I'm 12. And so when I first started and got into business, I didn't like this as a strategy. Now that I've gotten older and I've got 2 kids, or one coming on the way, which will make 2, I'm learning as you get older in life this is a good thing, and so I'm embracing this now. But like you said, don't let the looks fool you. So how did I get started? Well, truth be told, I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You've read that book, Erica?
Of course, it's a wonderful book.
Classic. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's really a book on entrepreneurship with a real estate slant. And if you have read it, give it to your kids. Like I want my kids to be reading this book. So I read it and I got excited and I thought real estate was going to be my deal. I thought I was going to be the next real estate millionaire. And so what I did was I went and actually met Dave, who I'm a partner with, and I'll explain that in a second, in this business speaking empire. I met him at a real estate club because Rich Dad in the book told me go find a mentor. So I said, okay, I got to go to where people are hanging out. So I met Dave there, and he was just starting a company called Foreclosures Daily, and it was basically showing people how to invest in foreclosures. And I said, well, Dave, teach me how to buy a house, and I'll come work for free for you. And so on that journey, I discovered marketing, and I discovered, getting people motivated by putting words into print or doing interviews or speaking from the stage or doing webinars. You can do that. Like, there's this whole world of marketing, and you see in school, Erica, I was a techie, nerdy guy, as crazy as that sounds. I would be afraid to be in front of the camera or actually speak on the stage. It's crazy. And I think
I can't imagine that, actually.
I know people they're like, no, that must be made up. No, it's true. I actually found a legal loophole to get out of speaking in school because they make you take that as a requirement. Wow. I found a loophole and actually got out of it. Now I run a company called Speaking Empire, showing people how to speak and communicate. But this is life, right?
That is phobia. Then if that's a serious phobia, if you got right out of the class, I'm glad that it turned around.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was on that journey with Dave. I discovered marketing at the first company, and I said, wow, you can really motivate people to take action, buy products and services, donate to a charity. Obviously, you can use sales and marketing strategies for evil, but I suspect because you're on this and you're listening into the series that you guys are here because you want to create change and transformation in the world, and that's what we're up to. So it was on that journey that I said, wow, we can really do this. And so I studied marketing and consumed it. And on that journey, I actually had to speak one time. I actually had to cover for Dave. So the guy that found the loophole to get out of speaking, I actually had to do it. And once I plummeted through it, I just plowed through that thing. I was amazed because I had folks that were double and triple my age at the time listening to me speak and give a message, and they saw me as the expert. They were attentive, and they didn't care. Age wasn't a barrier. They just wanted to know the information that I had. And so I said, wow, there is something to this speaking. And so fast forward a couple years, I ended up going off on my own and saying, I want to go and I want to basically show people how to build lines of credit. And the reason why that came about was I met a mentor, and so he was helping people set up lines of credits, and I decided to pursue that message. And so I did that for quite some time. And then Dave came to me one day back with an opportunity, and he said, hey, Dustin, all these people are asking me about speaking, and I said, Dave, all these people are asking me about marketing because that's my passion, online, offline, all these crazy marketing strategies. And so we formed a company called Speaking Empire, and we did it by holding a seminar. So we put 90 people, speakers, in a room that wanted to learn from us, speaking and marketing, and that's how we launched the company.
Wow, that's incredible. You just one event, and it just gave you the money that you needed to start off.
Yeah, I mean, Eric, I think. Here's what I think. I think a lot of entrepreneurs or people that at least have the idea, they want to do the business plan, and even though I went to school, I wasn't like formally educated in business, and I didn't go get the MBA, and I didn't know about that. And so I think some people get tripped up by wanting to have it perfect and then go to launch, or wanted to have it perfect and then try to raise money. Dave and I can't come from the mindset of, well, let's go sell it first, and obviously let your audience know what you're doing. And then once you have a sale, then you have a deadline. You have a commitment to deliver to that customer, to your client. And so that's what we did. We did a seminar, we sold something, we offered something, we got our first client, and then that business was born.
I'm going to say, I think the people that aren't in the business, the info marketing business, they don't understand that. They do think that they need a whole business plan, maybe go to a bank. It could be a year or two before they even get their business kicked off. But what we learn as info marketers is, you go out there and you sell it, you market it, and if somebody wants that product, then you're under the gun to make it. Definitely, we've done that here as well. just had to like come up with a product in 6 weeks, write it, get it ready to go, and having a 3-day event, and do it all at once, plan the event and make the product at once. So I mean that's wonderful that you were able to do that and start up. And I know that that's kind of how you do all your products now, right?
Well, we do some research and development, and sometimes that like is asking your clients, just surveying them, because we have a client base now. We simply ask them, what is your biggest challenge? Because we do a lot of live events, we get that face to face, and people come up to us, and we just listen, and that really is the best marketing practice, in my opinion, is just listen to your clients or listen to the marketplace and figure out what's their biggest challenge, and then how can you solve it economically, like without charging too little or charging too much, and that really is the key. And so I just see a lot of entrepreneurs, Eric, and I know you do too, that they don't do enough swings, or they don't take enough at bats. They don't get on the field. They don't do a sales presentation because there's that fear of rejection, and the challenge is if you don't take enough swings, you're not going to get that feedback. And so for all my friends that are of that mindset, I just want to challenge you to take more at bats. And I'm not saying do it haphazardly, but I'm just saying get on the field more, have more sales conversations, talk to more of your clients, and just figure out what their biggest challenges are.
Yeah, because you can be the best at what you do, but if nobody knows about it, then you're just not going to make any money. So, but speaking of that, I mean, getting in front of people, that is one of the things that you're good at. You have several events a year. You have several workshops where you bring entrepreneurs in to learn a lot of different things, a lot of marketing. And you've got the Presentainer course where they learn all the nuances of speaking on stage and how to do the hypnotherapy on them, all that stuff. But how do you fill those events? One of my questions I really like to ask my interviewees is, of all of the different marketing techniques out there, I think it can be overwhelming for people that are getting started. What are some of the marketing combinations that you've found are very effective that our listeners out there, our viewers, can use today and just kind of get started and see some results?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. And Eric, you got to tell me how long we have, because I could probably go on for days on different marketing strategies, because I love talking marketing. But I will condense it down for sure and give you some.
You do have 3-day courses. Yeah. Well, we have about we're going to go for about an hour, but we've got, this is only the third question, so.
You got it. Well, you just let me know if I'm going overboard here. But yeah, my favorite strategy for folks that are just getting started off are finding joint ventures. And maybe if you're new to this internet world or info marketing world, you may have a perception of a joint venture. So I'll explain it real quick. Basically, what I like to look for are who are the centers of influence in your industry or in your town that have a list of your clients and customers. And so I think of that person as a joint venture, and what I do is I look to motivate them in a few different ways. Because what they've done is they've already done the marketing, whether it was sweat equity marketing, running around to groups and networking, organizations trying to meet people, and so they've already sort of done that marketing. And so if you can leverage that, then you don't have to have a big Nike-sized budget or have a lot of money to get up and going. And so joint ventures, finding the list of influencers, is a big strategy. So how do you get them on board, especially if you're brand new? Well, number one is volunteering, and so that's what I did when I first got started. Was I figured out how can I just get on their radar, how can I get more face time, and so I volunteered. I helped them with whatever they needed help with, like registration at an event if they did that, or I'd write emails for them, or I'd follow up. So building value is the real key answer to anything, but in this particular case, it's figuring out the joint ventures and offering that. Now, the other way to motivate them is with money. And so I say, listen, if you would promote my event or you would promote my product or service, anyone that buys my program, I'm happy to give you 10%, 20%, 50%, and sometimes even up to 80%, especially when I was first getting going, because they needed to trust me. I got to make an irresistible offer. And so what I did was I gave away that much. Yeah, just to get going. And it's crazy.
That's almost unheard of. But yeah, you know what? We're both students of Dan Kennedy, and a lot of times he says that you got to be willing to lose something in the front because you're going to sell them a lot on the back end.
Yes,
So he knows what it
absolutely.
costs to acquire a customer. He might go in the hole $100, $200, $300, $500, depending on what that client is worth over their lifetime and in the products and services that they sell over the next years. So
That's a great
that's awesome.
mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
If you can spend more than your competition, and in this particular case, giving away 80%, that's sometimes spending more than the competition. And then also think of it like Erica, like you said, is the long-term game. It's like that first sale that you make is not the most important part of the process. You want to keep going back, especially if you're in this for the long haul and you want to build, business and you love the game. So that's what we would do is build value. We would pay them on the back end. Basically, when I make a sale at the event, I will give you a piece. And then sometimes when I had money, what I would do is I would actually pay them. And I'd say, Erica, I know you have a list of business owners. I'm coming up to Boston. I'm coming up to the Northeast. How about I give you $1,000 to actually email or do some Facebook posts or let my team call your customers. And so I would put money in your pocket first because you like that. And that would get some action going. And in some cases, you pay them up front, and then you pay them on the back. So, hey, here's some money to kind of help me start spreading the word. And then if anyone comes to the event and buys, I'm happy to do it. And so, when you're first getting going, you just kind of have to hustle and put together amazing deals for the other party involved to get it up off the ground. And then, obviously, after you're going up and going, I'm a big fan of direct mail and actually finding who your targeted customers are if you don't have a list, or mailing your existing people and inviting them. I'm still a big fan in this digital age of postcards and actual physical pieces.
I wanted to add something too. You were talking about your first event and how much you were giving up. I mean, I have to say, because of you, I had my first event last year, and
Yeah.
I had it pounded in my head that, don't worry if it's only a few people. Well, it was only a few people. It was 3 people. And I ended up, like, one of those customers became my biggest client. And for that little 3-day event that only cost me $2,000 to put on, I have now made over $25,000, and he's still buying. He's about to buy another $20,000 worth of services probably in the next month or two. So, I mean, you really can't start too small. I mean, like, it doesn't matter what the size is. I think that just starting to get your name out. I hear stories of people that are bringing in $10 million a year in their speaking business, and they started with 3, 4, 5, 10 people in the room. So don't get discouraged, I think, is another great message.
Yeah, absolutely. And most people see, they've been to an event, or they, think of, oh, I want to be in front of 1,000 people, I have to be that size. And Erica, you're absolutely right. Your story, there's another story that we have of her name is going to come to me right now. She's in real estate, Margaret in Chicago. She's in real estate, and so all she had was her home. And so
Margaret, right.
Margaret, yeah. So Margaret did it.
My husband is my client. Yeah.
Oh.
Nate.
Yeah. So Margaret did her event in her basement, and she didn't have her shoes on. That's something that we recommended, but she wanted to be comfortable in front of it, and she had maybe 13 people there, and most of them friends and family and just acquaintances, and yet she did it, and she did 5 figures in sales selling her real estate coaching program at the time. And so it doesn't have to be fancy hotel. It doesn't have to be thousands of people. The fact is it's just getting in front of your clients and communicating in a way that gets them into action.
Yeah, I mean, I love hearing stories like that. I can hear those stories all day. And with what you do, with all of your clients, I'm sure, have told you stories like that. And you've had even bigger wins with people starting. Yeah, first events, you have people that have made well over 100,000. I go to your events and I hear the stories. So I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing. So what would you say is when you're constantly learning, I would say, to be able to keep teaching people, what is the best course that you've taken that has really gotten you your start, or you think that's helped you get to the finish line faster? Of all the courses I know you've taken 1 million, probably. You've got a whole library of them, but
most definitely. If I was at the office, you would see the the bookshelves upon bookshelves.
Oh, I've seen it.
I think for when I first started going, I mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad. One that was for mindset and to get me up and going. I think the other one that was really critical to my success was Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And really when I was first getting going, I didn't really know. My mom was sort of entrepreneurial, but I didn't really know that you could own your own business. Like I guess I didn't believe it was possible, and I didn't think I could build wealth. Like I wanted to get rich, but I didn't know like really how that was going to happen. I was down the track to, I was at school and I was looking for an internship and I was going to go into corporate America was my thought, but it really was Rich Dad Poor Dad and then Think and Grow Rich that opened my mind up into, I can do this on my own. And then I needed a skill. So once my mind was starting to go, I needed a skill, and that's when you said, Erica, Dan Kennedy. And so one of my favorite ones that got me started was the Ultimate Sales Letter, because it taught me how I could, like, I didn't do any marketing and sales in school. I remember I was the computer techie person, nerd, I would say. And so after I read that book, I started to say, oh, marketing and sales. And so that really helped me understand how to communicate with influence and get people to take actions. And I would say those were like the keys to my success starting off.
Well, yeah. So maybe you can tell me what the what are the best courses that they could take with you, because you really
Sure.
have a lot of different courses and workshops. I know which ones were my favorite, but you've come up with even more since I've taken it a year and a half ago. So maybe let us know, like, what kind of things should they be learning to
Sure.
start a speaking business and a coaching business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's three things that we believe in. I'm wearing a triangle for a reason to make it easy for you to visualize. So we believe at Speak an Empire, there's three skills that you need to have. Really, you could call yourself a speaker or an info marketer or a coach, but really in business, we believe you need these three skills. And so number one, if you envision this part of the triangle, number one, you got to have a message. And oftentimes that looks like slides for most people. So if you're in corporate, or you do a webinar, or you speak from the stage, or even one-on-one, financial planners use slides when they sit down and they go through their sales messaging sort of message. But it doesn't stop there, because you can have a message and you can really deliver it very boring and unengaging and bad. So the second part of the triangle, you've seen your share, right?
Exactly.
The second part of the triangle is you got to know how to deliver it. So we believe you need a message. You have to know how to deliver it, because sometimes it's the words on the screen, but oftentimes it's your communication with your hands. It's your voice inflection. And there's a famous stat out there. It's 92% is not actually what you say, but how you say it, how you deliver it. And so we believe, whether you're one-to-one or one-to-many, which we love, you got to have delivery and understand how to influence through delivery. And then finally, as a business owner, entrepreneur, coach, speaker, author, expert, whatever you want to call yourself, the last piece is you have to promote yourself. And usually when I think of that, especially at the time of us recording this interview, a lot of people, when I say the word self-promoter, they may think of our new president right now. And so you can promote, obviously, on that level. However, you don't have to be as forward as that. And so at the end of the day, we're small business owners and entrepreneurs. We have to tell the world about what we do. And so at Speak an Empire, we have a workshop on each three of those, because we do have training courses online, but the greatest way we know how to create transformation is one-on-one. And that's what Erica experiences, coming down to see us in Florida, working with us to get that mastery and to deliver her presentations.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, the slideshow that you put together for me is, it was beautiful, but that wasn't it. I mean, a lot of people think you just have a beautiful slideshow, you got some content. There was a real plan behind exactly how the speech went, and each and everything I said served a purpose. And so, I don't know if you want to talk about your special blueprint
Sure.
that people.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Erica. I would say this, even before we even go into the blueprint, is everything. I would ask everyone to consider watching this, that your sales process, or whenever you deliver your messaging, and that could even be if you're watching this and you're a retail store, what is the choreography of when a customer or a prospect comes to see you? And so that's everything in our world of presentations. That's everything before the presentation. So maybe your bio, how someone introduces you, emails that go out before you actually even deliver your presentation at an event or on a webinar, your actual webinar or message itself, and then the follow-up. And I'm sure we've all heard the fortune is in the follow-up. And so I want folks to really consider the term choreography, kind of like, you know, the ballet, right? You got an amazing art scene up there your way, right? The ballet up there, everything is choreographed down to the nth degree to make an amazing experience. And so I would love to challenge everyone when it comes to selling, are you choreographed, or are you kind of just leaving it up to them? And if you leave it up to them, odds are you're probably not getting the results that you want or the consistency that you desire. And so I'm happy to share the blueprint, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knew, or you knew, that choreography is mission critical to success.
Oh, for sure. And I'm sure that when you first start, you don't really know what's going to work. So the more you do the presentation, the more you can tweak it, the more you can choose that choreography to where you're going to get that standing ovation at the end. And I just thought of that, actually. People run to the back. But how many presentations would you say that you and Dave have done to really get the choreography down?
Well, I know that Dave's done over 3,000 presentations. I've been there for, I can't say a percentage of them, but a lot of them, because that goes back to when we started that first company in the real estate space up until now at Speaking Empire. So I'll just chalk it up to probably 2,000 to 3,000 in that range. And so, we're able to see when someone sets foot on stage, how successful they're going to be within the first 5 minutes. It kind of goes along with, you're going to date somebody or marry somebody, in the first, 7 seconds of the first time you meet them. Very similar, we have that ability when it comes to speaking. And so, Erica, that was all derived from what you experienced, and what you asked me is, what's this blueprint that we keep talking about? So we believe there's 5 parts of a presentation. And so number 1 is your intro. Number 2 is your story. Third part is your offer, and I'll talk about what that means in a second. You may put body there if that serves you. Then your solution, and then your close. And so the biggest thing I could probably give to you in this interview, watching this interview, is start with the end in mind, which is actually the last part, the 5th part, which is the close. And as soon as I say that, well, some people say, well, Dustin, I'm in corporate, or I speak to associations, or I can't really sell like I see in other places. And so your close can be anything from, if you raise money for a charity, do you want them to donate?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you sell a product or service, you would be closing on that. You can set up appointments. And then finally, my proposition is that you ought to be lead generating. And what I mean by that is building your audience. And so whether you drive them to Facebook, to your fan page, or drive them to your email list, or collect direct mail addresses so that you can follow up with them later, you still want to be thinking about, how do I engineer my whole presentation to lead up to want to get somebody to give me their information, to lead up to the close. And the challenge is most people, they start with the... What's that?
I was just saying, you need that call to action. You need a purpose for it at the end. And I've noticed that you guys have recently, and I see you guys all the time. I must run into you at least 5 times a year.
For sure.
Conferences, and hear you speak, even go to your conferences. So lately I've noticed that you are having people rush to the back of the room for a thumb drive of information. It's not even really clear what's on it, but people want it because it looks so cool. You weren't even at the marketers cruise. I was there, and someone else gave the presentation, and everybody ran to the back because you only had 50. You had to have a limiter there, and it was time specific. We're going to be leaving the room in 5 minutes, and people got up, and it was actually, it was so, you don't know this. I don't know. Well, maybe you do know this because you probably talked to your people that were there, but it was like that was the last speaker before Captain Lou, had to make some announcements. And he's like, no. I need you all back here. It was like, just give everyone the drive. You guys, but we all have to be out of this room. And this looks like it's going to take a long time because there were so many people going to the back of the room. So I think that's you probably got a ton of leads from that.
We did. And what's interesting about that, Erica, is normally my partner Dave goes, and a lot of people, if you look us up online, you'll see Dave. He looks larger than life online. And what's interesting is Dave actually didn't go this time to deliver the presentation. A photographer went. Ken went and supported. He's part of the community here at Speaking Empire. He does a lot of photos. And so at the end of the day, he's a photographer. He wouldn't even tell you he's a professional speaker, but he took the formula. We gave him exactly what to say. We made an irresistible offer, which I'll talk about in a second if we have time. And the phenomena still occurred. And if word doesn't get out too much about this, he actually beat Dave. And so he generated the most leads possible. Now, here's why I think that occurs. Oftentimes, Erica, when we sell ourselves, there's resistance, like, oh, this guy's promoting, or Erica's talking about herself. However, if you can get somebody else to say, hey, this, meet this person, they're awesome, it's oftentimes better. Kind of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was about his rich dad and poor dad. It wasn't about, he himself, who was, the main central, character in the story. And so oftentimes it's easier to do that. And so for people saying, well, Dustin, I don't want to go out and speak, or I don't want to do webinars, we actually teach you to go find folks, and they come to our events, and they're looking for those opportunities where they don't want to build products or businesses like you. They just enjoy selling and being in front of people. And so you can build a speaking empire without you actually having to speak, and most people don't realize that.
Yeah, no, it's true. And if you ever need someone else to do a presentation for you, I was like, oh, I could have given tons of testimonials for them. I would have loved to do that. I'm like, get off the stage. I want to talk for them too. There were several people in the audience that wanted to talk with you too, because what did you have, like 20 people there or something that you signed up for? So I signed up for your event actually. So, but not to get off topic. Let's get back on. We actually have more people joining us as we're talking here. I do want you to talk about your irresistible offer, because you're not the first one to come up with that, right?
Sure,
everyone talks about this irresistible offer, but I really feel like the way you explain an irresistible offer is just so clear cut and it's an easy to follow formula. And I've seen your video blogs on it, and I know I've seen you talk about it from the stage. I would love it if you could share that secret with my audience today.
Sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to. It's one of my most favorite things to talk about. And so, number one, it's kind of like, I'm going to tell you the lesson, but take you behind the scene as well. So, number one, Erica mentioned, I'm not the first guy to create irresistible offers. People have been talking about this. There's actually a book on it. And so what's interesting was I formulated irresistible offers in a way, and I thank you, Erica. You say I describe it very cleanly and simply. But here's what I did. I created this concept called irresistible offer architecture. And so immediately I created irresistible offer architecture. Immediately it's like, well, what is that? It sounds like irresistible offer, something I know, but there's immediately curiosity. And so the big takeaway for you is, what can you name your process or your system? And I actually trademarked it, and finally it came in from the office, and now it's a registered trademark. So it went from a TM now to the R, right? And so that's a lesson right there. And so I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm saying that whenever you create your business or your method of whatever it is, maybe it's weight loss, or maybe it's how to drive LinkedIn leads or dominate on social media, my proposition to you is you actually trademark it, which shows intent. I'm not an attorney, so check with your attorney. But if you can trademark it by putting the TM, it shows your intent. And then if you go get it registered, now it looks more substantial. And so would you just rather have a weight loss plan, or would you rather have a TM weight loss plan? Which one looks more substantial to you and real? And the TM or the R after. So
exactly.
So my proposition is this: when you do your irresistible offer, it should never be one thing. So let's say you're a software company, right? A lot of times people just say, sign up today and you're going to get my software. What I would say is, well, someone can say yes or no to that instantly. I want to make them feel I don't want to say idiotic, but I want to, or stupid, but I want to make them feel guilty for saying no. And so well, here's how we do that. Well, we ought not just do one thing. We ought to do 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Now, Erica, usually when I describe that, some people say they instantly visualize the infomercial. When you buy today, not only are you going to get the juicer, you're going to get the slicer, you're going to get the dicer, and I'm going to make it twice, and you're going to get free shipping. And so I want to say that it is effective. You can do it that way, but you can also tone it down. And so you don't have to be cheesy, but you ought not underestimate the value of what's being shared.
That is $1 billion industry. There's no reason to ignore that way of doing business. You have to make it too good to be true, and,
yes.
and they're going to get what they bought, but then they're going to get 2 or 3 times the value. I think that is incredible. And the way you came up with my offers was amazing. Stuff that I never even thought of. Like, certify your program, all the crazy stuff. It was incredible, and I was able to sell, as I could see as I went down the offer. More and more people got up.
Absolutely, and we call this
things I was bringing as a bonus. So yeah, I think it worked.
We call this the hot button close. And so again, never just the one thing. So some people may want software, some people may want training videos, some people may want to talk to you, the expert, because they're not going to go read a book or sit through 17 hours of video. They just want to consult with you. And so when you make your offer, if you can include components of each one of those things, and especially blueprints and checklists, people love blueprints, recipes, checklists, because it's basically all of your information condensed into sheets and graphical things, and people are really into that right now, and because people are looking for shortcuts in their business. And so when you look at your offer, be thinking of all the objections someone might have. Meaning, if you know that people are busy, they don't have money, it's too hard, then I would ask you, when you put your offer together, what is in there that overcomes objections? So I'll just give a real quick example. So if your particular offer is, or the objection is, it costs too much money, well, it's really tough to overcome that objection, but one of the ways we do that is say, listen, invest in our program today, and if you'll refer 3 people to me that invest in the program or work with me, I'm happy to give you your investment back through referral commissions. Or in real estate, go out, find a deal, bring it to me. If we partner on the deal, I'll give you whatever you invested in my course back. And so that's a real easy way to overcome objection. From a, if you're not in that world, let me give you
have it for free, right?
That's the free close. The other one, which is, let's say, time. Everyone, when do you want results, Erica?
Right now.
Right now, right? Everyone wants yesterday. Everyone wants results now. And so one of my favorite ones is when you're actually naming your offer, that you ought not say a 367-page manual. They don't care about that. Or I got 500 hours of video. Don't say that. Instead, say the instant success library. Or if you feel like maybe that's a little too forward and overselling, I get it. So call it the rapid results. Would you rather have 500 hours of content, or would you rather have access to the rapid results vault or the rapid results library? And so naming is very important. And so these are key things to be thinking about when you put together your irresistible offer.
That's so funny. When you were talking about this, I stole a little bit of this when I was interviewed the other day for one of my first TV interviews, and I was just like, those spicy titles. You go by Us Weekly or Star Magazine or any of those, those magazines that no one wants to admit that they read, but they secretly do occasionally. But really, you can learn a lot from those titles, and how they pull people in and how they sell magazines just by having even for instance a number. If you're doing a special blog or whatever, a number. Here are the 5 tips to losing 10 pounds in the next 10 days. Whatever it is. Oh, it's only 5. Great. Put a number in front of it. You put something like like you said, rapid results. That is, that's really going to sell you, and it's going to get results for you right away. So I love that you teach that. You're the master at that.
Well, thanks. That's a big thing. If you just consider tweaking your irresistible offer, whatever it is that you sell right now or want to sell, and if you just take a look at it, and if you don't get excited by it, or if you pass it over to somebody that's semi-interested in what you do and might buy, and if they don't get interested by it, you just say, well, how can I make it better? And don't put a box. This was the big challenge I had. I was like, well, wait a minute. I can't put that in because that's like 2 hours of my time, or if I go and find somebody to donate their software to me, it's going to cost lots of, I'm going to have to pay them lots of money. Open up your mind and just go crazy and then edit later. So just think of what's the most irresistible thing I can put in front of my audience or my prospects or customers, and then go back and edit and now figure out how do I deliver it economically or financially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think too many people are stuck with, well, what's that going to cost me now, instead of looking at like what the results are going to be later. I'm constantly fighting with my clients on that, with the prices of their products and wanting to sell their events and their products separately. Where, geez, you put like my special offer that you gave me was 3 events which were worth something. You gave me the home study course. You gave me, coming down and meeting with you for the day, and you gave me the Presentainer. How could I say no? I mean, it just looked like I was spending a year learning from the master by the time we were done. And there was a lot of one-on-one time, and there was a lot of networking, which I got a lot out of as well with the rest of your crowd. So, for me, that was the kicker. I didn't even know who you were or what you did when you approached me, but I was like, I gotta give this speech, so maybe I should sit down and talk to him. And it was an amazing offer, and I really benefited from it. I benefit from it every day, so I'm always happy that I took it. And I would have been an idiot for not taking it.
Well, I appreciate it. Most folks wonder, well, how does this all work? And so the thing I always recommend is to come to the event. I think, Erica, you came to the event maybe after the first workshop, perhaps. But I always recommend this way. Come to our big national event. It's called Amplify now, and that's our new brand for it. We do it 3 times a year. And it's an event where you can get exposed to the triangle, the slides. We actually give away all the blueprint in detail there, and then we tell you how to deliver it, and then I share marketing there. And the reason why is we lead with a ton of value, and we know that some people are going to buy because they want us to hold their hand and work with them, just like Erica in your case is, even though we gave you the information, going back home and try to figure it out. You can do it. It is possible, but it's a whole lot quicker if you have us help you. And so that's what we talk about at the Amplify experience.
It's worth way more than you charge, believe me. Most people double or triple the money the first time they make their first speech and sell from the stage. So I absolutely believe in that. Now we're running up against the clock. Okay. I want you to just talk about anything that you want to offer the audience, or any events that you have coming up, or webinars, whatever it is.
Sure.
You are more than welcome to promote what's coming up.
Okay, absolutely. I would say this, we didn't get through the whole blueprint. I do realize that. I know I only gave you really one part of the blueprint, and so it is available on speakingempire.com/flash. The page there will say Jumpstart Bundle, and my irresistible offer to you, it's completely free, no credit card, completely free, leading with value, so you can see the blueprint for yourself. You'll see a video of my partner Dave explaining it, and then you'll also get a couple extra goodies like the Profitable Speaking Manifesto. So if you go to speakingempire.com/flash, you'll see that. And then you heard me talk about the Amplify experience, the same event that Erica went to. It was a different name at that time, but it is the similar event, amplifyexperience.com. You can check out details there and get a ticket to the upcoming event that's virtually only a couple months from any time in the year. We do one of those Amplify events from you. So the last thing I would say is this, Erica, and it's just motivational in nature. So you've watched this interview with us or listened to this interview, and so you should have a goal. I would hope you have a goal, and it can be a goal related to what we talked about, or maybe you got inspired with Erica's story or my story of how getting started. And so whatever your goal is, maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's to become a speaker, maybe it's to start that business, maybe it's to finally hire Erica because she's been giving you so much value and she's a rock star. Whatever that goal is, what I want you to do is just chunk it out. And what I mean by that is take one small action a day. It could be get on the phone with Erica. It could be read a blog post, or it could be go make a LinkedIn post. It could be, go to a seminar, right? Whatever your goal is, just take one small action a day, because in 365 days, 1 year, you'll be amazed at where you end up, and oftentimes it won't take you 365 days to get to where you want to go. It's just chunking it out, taking that first step, and taking that action.
Little by little. That's wonderful. I think that's great. Hey, I really appreciate you being on the call today. That was incredible. You're generous with all of your content, and I know that people are going to walk away from this interview, really able to start off and use some of the tips you've already given, which is really the whole point for this interview series. Great Minds, Great Marketing. Guys, thanks again for coming. I'm Erica DelSignore with Daily Lead Campaign. You can go to dailyleadcampaign.com to check out our stuff, and we'll have more and more of these Great Minds, Great Marketing interviews coming out. So stay tuned on social media for that. I'm always doing the Facebook Lives now to let you know when we're starting. So thanks again, Dustin. It's been really great, and good luck with your event. I can't wait to come to an event again soon.
You got it. Take care.